why men ghost. And for the men listening, I apologize. And women, don't get me wrong, they probably ghosted you because you slept with them on the first date. You were his side piece. You were his late night rendezvous. Awkward conversation of telling you that they're not into you. You can try to save yourself, but you only gonna play yourself. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Men Know Nothing, Know Something. So basically what is happening now is that myself and Dan are wanting to give you a bit of extra content. And with this extra content, we're planning on calling it Men Know Something. So the idea behind this is to basically peel back the curtain and give you a bit of an insight into men's minds. Get you to understand why we do some of the things we do, how we do some of the things we do. And the idea is basically just to not sugarcoat some stuff. And some of it's going to seem quite ick and shit, but here we are. So today, if you can see from the title that I've got here, we are talking about the top 5 reasons why men ghost women. And I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will have been ghosted before. Not a very nice feeling whatsoever, but we've all been there. We've probably all done it, and we've probably all been on the receiving end of it. But now, for a lot of you women, you've probably been ghosted by a guy on a number of occasions, and you're probably wondering, why the hell did this man ghost me? And I'm here to help. I'm here to help you figure out what's going on in our minds. And I should preface this by saying this is going to be quite generalized, so not every situation will probably fit to your experience, but you can take this with a pinch of salt if you like. I don't care. But before I start, what actually is ghosting though? That's the question, because I feel like my definition of ghosting is probably somewhat different to many people. In order for you to be considered ghosted, I feel as if you need to have spent and given a certain level of time and emotional stress to a situation. So for me, I would not count me being ghosted or me ghosting someone if after matching with someone on a dating app on a Thursday, I go and see them on a date on a Saturday. If she doesn't send me a message after the date, or if I don't send her a message after the date, I would not consider that a ghost. I would just consider that the situation that we're in. I would just consider that we met up, we weren't vibing. There's like this weird ass, we don't need to message to make this a thing about, I wasn't feeling it. Just move on. And for some people, you may think, no, you should message, you owe that person. But in reality, in the grand scheme of things, when you look at things from a macro level, you don't actually owe anyone anything after the first date. It's nice, it's courteous, but you can't hate on someone if they don't. All right. So let's get into it. The top 5 reasons why men ghost women. Number 1, they probably just met someone that's better than you, or they just have other options that they're entertaining at the moment. And you're probably thinking, like that's annoying, because it is the paradox of choice. And especially if you meet someone online dating, they have such an increased access to potential partners and create a sense of limitless options impacting dating and their behaviors. So if someone knows that they have a shit ton of options out there, especially if it's a good looking dude, if he goes on a date with you, or if he's messaging you, whatever, and he stops replying, a lot of the times it's because he probably found a new toy. And not to call women toys, but he finds something else that he can that can give him that attention that he needs, and that at the time is just seems to be a better and more viable option than you. And sometimes that's just as simple as it is. Like, a guy can literally start talking to you for a bit. He met you in Hinge, but he's obviously still swiping on the app, and you'd be stupid to think that he stopped swiping because he's talking to you. So what 9 times out of 10 has happened is that he's probably talking to you, and then he's found someone new on the app and thought, I'm going to start putting my attention into this because she's hotter. And that's just the way it is. That is literally just the way it is. It's sad, and it's cutthroat, it's animalistic, it's to the point, but I feel like that's And I'm going to say I've probably done that before, where I could have been talking to a girl and I thought, oh, actually, no, this girl I've matched with is fitter. Maybe I was just kind of lowering my standards because I was bored and I needed some validation. So that is one of the points. Number two, and I'm sorry to say this, they probably ghosted you because you slept with them on the first date and now they're no longer interested. That's right. You slept with them on the first date and they're no longer interested. Men, from an evolutionary standpoint, are hunters and they enjoy chasing and they enjoy the fight to achieve something. And as shit as that sound, to achieve. But that's how it is. That is how animalistic the minds of men are. But the issue is there are so many men out there who still have this very negative connotation and this negative attitude towards casual sex, if that makes sense. They like the idea that they can have casual sex and that they can fuck who they want, but then for a lot of men will then look at a woman different if she also does the same. So there would have been cases where you may have gone on a first date with a guy, you were both into it, you were both having a good time, and you thought, let's go back, let's do the deed, let's have some sex. And the guy probably looks at you slightly different, whether he thinks it or not, but there's a level of a I've been able to achieve or sleep with this girl very quickly. What else is there for me to get? Which is such a shit way to think of it, but that is what it is. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's just as simple as it is, to be honest. Like, there is that level of so many guys like the thought of chasing a girl. And women, don't get me wrong, if you want to have sex with a guy on the first date, you do that. 100%. And never ever not have sex with someone because you feel that sex is the only reason that's keeping them there. Because whether you sleep with this guy on the first date or you sleep with this guy on the fifth date, if he's not interested in you, he'll stop talking or he will ghost you or whatever after whatever moment that he gets what he wants. The issue is now is that if you did it on the first date compared to the fifth date, you haven't wasted so much time and emotional effort into getting to know a guy who was always going to go in the first place. So if you slept with him the first date and he's no longer interested and he's ghosted you, that's why. Number three, fear of confrontation. In other words, he's a little bitch. And that's the thing. So many people, both men and women, have such a struggle with communicating and they have challenges. I have been in situations where I have struggled to communicate because for years I was not someone who really enjoyed confrontation, and to the detriment because I've probably been pushed over and let things slide that I probably shouldn't have because I was afraid of confrontation. So a lot of men will happily be a little bitch and not communicate that they're not into you, and they would find it so much easier just to pretend that it didn't happen and just shift you off into the abyss. And it's sometimes quite uncomfortable to have that kind of conversation. It's very uncomfortable sometimes to have a conversation and tell someone, I'm not into you. And that could be for many reasons. Some people can be quite emotional when they're rejected. Some people don't actually do well with rejection. And sometimes that could actually affect someone's ego, especially if it's someone who's probably used to getting everything that they've wanted or everything they need. If someone comes to them and says, yo, I'm not vibing this, I'm not feeling it, like, let's cut it. Sometimes some people can't handle it. So for a lot of men, when it comes to the ghosting aspect, they would rather spare that fucking potentially awkward conversation of telling you that they're not into you. But again, there also is a level of like, you need to grow up. There's a level of emotional maturity that you need and a level of empathy that you need to push you to a point where you feel as if, you know what, I really should reach out to this person and tell them they're not feeling it. And I think the fear of confrontation even becomes more of an issue if this is someone who you've been speaking to for an elongated period of time. I have some girls who are friends who have talked to me and said that they have been hanging out with guys before for a couple of months, 3 months, and next minute this guy just stops talking. And you know what? Now that I've just kind of regurgitated that memory, one other reason why a man may ghost a woman is because that dude's got a girlfriend. That dude has a girlfriend. And you were his sneaky link. You were his side piece. You were his late night rendezvous. You know what I mean? You were that. So that is going to be probably one situation as well, especially if you've been hanging out with this guy and you probably don't know that much about him. And when you think back and wonder, what did I really know about this guy? What was his life like outside of us? Those are the kind of things that you should probably look back and think, what was that actual situationship like between me and that dude? So that's another one that just came into my head. He could literally have a girlfriend or a wife and a family in another city. Okay. Number 4 of why men ghost women. Sometimes it's just game playing. Literally, yeah. It's a way of maybe building a level of a power dynamic within the situation that you have with that guy. And game playing is a way to do that. Game playing is a way to grab some control. Game playing is a way of somewhat breadcrumbing, giving you just enough that you keep holding on, but they stand back a little bit so that they can see you coming. And then when you get back there and you're all puppy-eyed and shit, they're just going to ghost again. But then they'll drop a little crumb and gain your interest again. So that also is a level of even them trying to see how much do you love yourself? Do you feel like you're worthy of love? Because if a guy sees the attitude that he's playing with you, where he is kind of giving you the bare minimum and you're still grabbing on, there is going to be a lack of respect there. And this is just me speaking so truthfully and so honestly about how it will be perceived from a very, very surface level, ground level basis. And obviously I'm to a degree taking out the nuance here and being slightly black and white. But that is just the case. And number 5 of why men ghost women, they were just never interested in the first place. You're probably just a place in their life where they just needed that attention. They probably needed that validation that you gave to them. And now that they've probably got to the point where they are feeling fine, maybe they've gotten their validation from someone who they actually want to get the validation from, now they're gone. They're gone. On a midnight train to Georgia. Like, that's it. And that's what it's down to. Sometimes they probably just weren't interested in you in the first place, but you were just there and you were giving them that attention that they need. And a way to notice if someone's intentions are actually pure or if they're even into you is, are they giving you mixed signals and being quite ambiguous with their intention? Are they miscommunicating? Are they sporadically responding? Or the responses that they're giving you even, is there a level of depth there? Do they seem as if they're giving the messages the attention that it deserves in order to actually build that connection? Those are the things that you really, really need to look out for. And yeah, I think that's probably all I've got for you today. But yeah, so the top five things that you need to look out for, and the top 5 reasons why men ghost women is: 1, they met someone better, or they just have other options. 2, you slept with them on the first date and now they're no longer interested. 3, there's a fear of confrontation, or they're just a little bitch. Number 4 is game playing. Number 5, they weren't interested in the first place. And then the 6th one, which I kind of added in there, was they've just got a girlfriend, which they've probably are realizing they're risking too much. But yeah, that's it, folks. Welcome to my first installment of Men Know Nothing, Know Something. I hope this has helped. I hope women listening to this, that it's given you a bit of an idea of why men ghost. And for the men listening, I apologize, but it's content. Gotta do what we gotta do. Gotta teach the masses. And yeah, a lot of the stuff I've talked about, I have done to a degree, and it is owning up to that I've done it, and I guess just growing from that and becoming a better person. So on that note, thank you very much for listening. If you've gone to this far, as usual, please follow us on all our platforms, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and all that fucking good stuff. All right, peace and good night. Thank you.
You can try to save yourself, but you only gon' play yourself.